Law enforcement sources telling ABC News that prosecutors have interviewed a number of Sean Diddy Combs' accusers, including those who have filed civil lawsuits against the hip-hop mogul. Sources also saying that federal agents seized computers and other electronic devices during searches of his homes here in Los Angeles and in Miami as well. Allegedly, they were looking for things like photos, videos, and other evidence that might corroborate the accusers' claims here. An attorney for Diddy calling the searches a witch hunt, saying that his client is innocent and will continue to fight.
After the raids, Diddy's attorney commented on the lot of sex trafficking abuse lawsuits. It looks like the rapper won't be able to use his influence to save himself this time around. For years, Diddy's crimes have gone unnoticed, but the FBI isn't planning on letting him run free for long.
We just, like the audience, we sitting back, praying and hoping for the best. But then at the same time, when you know individuals, it's like a family member. I don't agree with the behavior, but I care for the person.
So I have to almost do this dance about when it comes up, because just as much as I know Diddy, I know Cat.
As a result of the raids at Diddy's homes, older comments that people have made about him have been resurfacing on the internet, making people see the hip-hop mogul in a whole new light.
I have learned from sources that investigators have found several weapons inside his homes. Several. They also have found videos. It's been reported that Diddy has collected images of people in compromising situations at his residences. TMZ now obtained this video inside his home in Los Angeles after the raid by federal agents. It's reported that Diddy is the target of a sex trafficking investigation that comes after he was hit with a wave of civil lawsuits alleging sexual assault and trafficking. I've also learned exclusively that Diddy is in Miami. Authorities know exactly.
Now the FBI has found proof of rumors about Diddy being involved in illegal activities that have surfaced over the past few years. Diddy's running away and disappearance before the raids have only confirmed the fact that the man's guilty.
What happens here is that the federal government started a case with him. Apparently the search warrant that had his houses in Miami and LA was pre-planned already. They knew they were going to do that. So they have a much bigger case. Right now with the guns, they're going to check them. They're going to trace them, see if they were used in any crimes. They're going to go over anything about cooperators that are cooperating with them. They're going to be talking to a lot of people about certain criminal acts that he might have committed, and then go from there.
And what about the videos?
Well, they're going to sift through those videos. They're going to look at them and then see if there's any criminality on those videos, and then they'll go from there.
So what do you think? I mean, it just seems like the house of cards might fall for Diddy right now.
It's not looking that great. Right now, I know that he has higher powered attorneys, and right. With all these allegations that are coming out against him and against other people, a lot of people are starting to be very nervous about it.
Not just Diddy, though. Former NYPD detective Derek Parker, known as the hip-hop cop, believes that a lot of Diddy's accomplices should also be worried because the FBI is going to come for them too.
Now that you guys are somewhat friendly?
No. I didn't say no. Yeah. I know Diddy 30 years. I'm just praying. It's a very sad situation. I don't know enough about it. That's as far as I could go. I stood up last night, maybe 4 hours, praying for him and his kids. His kids, I know him all their life. So, I'm just praying for everyone.
For some reason, everybody knows that he's always too scared to talk about his horrific crimes, almost like he's got something that he's trying to hold over them. In fact, when Diddy once gave a shout-out to his ex Cassie at an award show, people couldn't help but think that his demeanor was threatening, almost as if he was warning Cassie to shut up about his crimes.
Kirk Burrows, I want to go back to this interview I did with him, right? He made a comment in this interview, and he said that Biggie and Puffy wasn't that close as Puffy makes it seem. What you think about him saying that?
I don't believe they were. I don't believe they were that close because Big used to always clown him. You understand? But Big needed him just as much as he needed Big. And I think that it was basically just a business type situation. But they were cool. But Puff had robbed Big, and Big was robbing Puff. Those games you don't play like that with your friends or nobody, especially when there's money involved. Big learned the game. Big seen how, through his management, Puff was robbing him and had robbed him.
According to Puffy's former bodyguard, The rapper is a completely different person from what the public sees, and it's only now that his lies are coming out into the open.
And I think this all started with that lawsuit that we talked about in November when Cassie sued Diddy. And at the time, you and I talked about how incredibly foolish it was for Diddy not to settle the case before the allegations became public. And he settled it the very next day. And apparently the parties were about $10 million apart. But Cassie was with Diddy for a decade, and she knew where the bodies were buried, and she spilled it all out. And that encouraged other victims to come forward. And there was lawsuit after lawsuit alleging that Diddy and others had engaged in sex trafficking. So now it's gone from a civil lawsuit, which is about money, to a full-blown criminal investigation, and a very serious one that's based out of the Southern District of New York, probably the most prestigious prosecutor's office in the country. And federal agents executed 2 search warrants, one in Miami and one a mile away from where I live here in Los Angeles, with a lot of armed federal agents who went into the home, and they're looking for evidence of criminal activity, primarily sex trafficking, like you talked about, Christina, but other crimes as well. Add gun and firearms charges, and we're talking about someone who may spend decades in federal prison, like R. Kelly. And this is why, under federal law, if someone is convicted of even one count of sex trafficking, it carries a minimum 10 or 15-year prison sentence minimum. The judge can't go any lower for each count, depending on the age of the victim.
So there's a potential that Diddy could spend the rest of his life in prison.
Oh, very real possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if this is another Jeffrey Epstein or an R. Kelly type case where we're talking about multiple victims across multiple jurisdictions over a significant period of time. And again, these are just allegations. Nothing's been proven yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Diddy is arrested in the coming days or weeks, and he's going to have to face these charges. And there's no possible plea that is going to get him off with a slap on the wrist or probation. The prosecutors are successful and able to prove it. He may end up dying in prison.
According to a legal expert, Diddy might just be behind bars till the day that he dies, considering just how horrendous his crimes are. Sex trafficking, abuse, murder, assault. This man has done just about everything wrong on planet Earth. I bet you one of his freaky confessions is that he probably even microwaved a fish and slapped somebody with it. That's how evil this dude is.
All right, it's time to talk about this Diddy lawsuit again. Boy, you going to jail. I mean, prior to them raiding his homes and handcuffing his zesty sons, he had 5 civil suits. 5. And good thing they filed before the feds come, because they gonna tie Diddy's money up. Kind of like he tied up. And I know a guilty man when I see one. This is what you do when you about to go to jail. You start doing things that you took for granted, like ride bikes through the streets of Miami. I don't think he's going down without a fight. I think Diddy is going telltale. Could you imagine turning on the news and seeing Diddy run from the police like this Hypnotized Mind video with topless women, except for Big, it'd be Meek with him. And I was with everybody else. I was like, no, not Meek. Until I went back and did some research. Hold up, wait a minute. Then, not to mention the rant he did on Twitter explaining about how he liked women. Yup, he's guilty as well.
But almost everybody seems to believe that this is the limit. If Diddy isn't arrested now, that's going to mean that this man has the feds under his influence too, because how else does he keep getting away with everything that he's done?
You got to look at that interview that Jonathan Odie did, bro. He said,
the hip-hop agenda is to move drugs all over the United States. They move all the dope in private jets inside the United States, okay? They move what's called high-grade powder, and they move cocaine, and they move liquid cocaine in the bottles too. I've seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie.
That was more damaging than Cassie. The DEA wasn't involved in this. It was the FBI and the Homeland Security, basically. That's because of the sex trafficking thing. But if they find any of that stuff in any one of his houses, there's a problem. Even if they find illegal guns, if they find any kind of drug, a high amount, cocaine and weed, I don't think Diddy gonna get charged, because what he did, he put everything in his kid's name and his company.
Diddy's been accused of crimes like recording people without their consent, having freaky sex parties at his house, and transporting illegal drugs on private jets. Somehow, he's gotten away with all of it. Now, This man is willing to throw everybody under the bus to save himself.
So I used to drink a lot, like a lot. Like I could drink a bottle of tequila by myself. And I had got invited to this meeting, but I hadn't drank all day. And so this is now, it's night. It's like 11:30, 12. There was only about 14, 15 people in there, but some people. And they was like, Columbus, what you drink at Columbus? I'm like, I only drink one thing, tequila. And they were like, oh, get him. Oh, we got the smoothest tequila. So I was like, all right, let me get a shot. So I'm over here, like, we chopping it up. I take my shot. I'm like, pretty smooth. So we chopping it up, 5 minutes go by, 7 minutes go by. Something wrong. Something wrong. Whoa.
Something was in your drink.
Something wrong. Cause I'm getting dizzy. I'm trying
on one
to
shot.
On one shot. So I'm like, I'm trying to stay focused, you know, but I'm hearing, but it was boom. I'm like, I start getting a little sweaty. I was like, oh, something wrong. I gotta find. I was like, but I played it cool.
At these parties, Diddy would force people to drink and do drugs. Then he'd take advantage of them, film their sexual interactions with others without their consent, and use the footage as a way to make them comply with all of his demands.
The question is Diddy going to jail or not?
I think he's going to jail, man. I'm sorry. I don't wish jail on nobody. I don't wish jail on nobody, but the crimes that they allegedly said he's done.
If he's done,
you think he innocent?
Under
the prison.
If they have unreasonable doubt, bro, I just don't like the fact that I be feeling like all the black figures, like the real figures, you know what I mean? They be getting arrested, bro.
That's true. That's true.
You got the Cosby, the Cosby's.
Vince McMahon on the run right now too.
He is?
Yeah, why you think he not? He ain't got.
What do you do again?
Vince McMahon is going through the same heat, bro.
Yeah, I was listening to, if you don't mind me saying, Tis Tales, and she said that she was going through the whole lawsuit, and in the lawsuit it stated that he was recording a song, and the guy Little Rob had it in the recording that the girl was actually fighting him off her, and he was trying to make her drink some tequila, and she said, "What's in it? Is anything in it?" And he was trying to fondle on her or whatever like that during the time. And Lil Rob picked that up at the recording. So
Did you see the IG live that Puffy and his mom did? And Puffy, he was shouting out Mason, showing him love for, you know, him being a part of the No Way Out album. And, you know, his mom, she cut it in, and, you know, I guess she didn't like him shouting out Mace, and she made a comment telling Mace stop messing with her son or whatever.
I guess Mama wasn't feeling Mace. And Mace is a celebrity, and by him having a platform to say something about her son, you know, she would say that. You understand? I've said more about Mace, I've said more about Diddy than Mace have. But maybe because I'm not a celebrity, I don't have a platform, and he didn't say my name, she didn't say anything about, and you too, Gene Deal. And maybe because she might still find me sexy. She says she looking.
What you mean by that? His mom was trying to talk to you back then?
I don't wanna. What? That's how we fell out, bruh. That's how we fell out. You don't know? I thought you watched the Gene Deal show, Art.
Man, tell me about that. Y'all ain't know that.
Oh my God. Yo, one day, Puff and Justin was in the office, right? And sometimes I gotta watch Justin, but since the grandma up there, you know, she watching Justin sometimes, I still gotta keep my eye on Puff. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know who security gonna let up sometimes, and this, that, and the third. So it used to like she used to have a restaurant, and she used to bring food up to the office and give it to people, right? So this one particular time, you know, she used to always like do innuendos to me. Gene, why you don't never Gene, why you don't never, Gene, why you don't like this? But I never even, you know, paid her any attention because it's always Miss Combs. It ain't Mama Combs, it ain't Janice, it's Miss Combs. You understand? I gave her that respect. But she used to always throw in the windows, and you know when somebody find you somewhat attractive. And then because I used to get in Puff ass, because Puff used to be disrespectful around his mother. You understand? I'm glad they got a better relationship and they got a better understanding, because she know I said it before. You understand? When he cursed out, we was getting in a limousine. This is when the office was on 19th Street and 5th Avenue. He said, didn't I tell you to stay out of my motherfucking business? He was talking to his mother. And I said, boy, let me tell you something. If I ever hear you cuss your mother again, I'm gonna beat the shit out you. You ain't gonna bring nothing but bad luck to us. Don't you ever cuss your mother again, nigga. Gene, but I told her to stay out of my business. Nigga, you wouldn't have no business if it wasn't for her.
Diddy's not going to jail. He said,
I can understand why he would say that.
Yeah. Can you break that down a little bit more? Why you think he said that?
Well, considering that the is selling his own god evidence that would put him in jail against him on the dark net to the highest bidder. Why would he sell evidence of his debauchery and savagery? Why would he sell on the dark net his tapes of all the just terrible? Wanna know why? Because he doesn't intend to stand trial.
Is he protecting people, or are people protecting him?
Oh no, he's selling it because he needs the cash. The last freak off tape that just got sold on the dark net, which I know because I monitor, went for $500 million. It had multiple stars in it. Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, Drake. It was a really interesting night in Calabasas, and he just sold that footage.
How come you think it doesn't get leaked to the public?
The dark net?
Yeah, like...
Because of the dark coin. Most people don't even know that the dark coin exists. But that's how they're trading for all of the flesh they sell. Which is why I became so outraged last year when the twins turned 16 and he had them dressed like prostitutes, and then he auctioned them off as NFTs because the NFT that he sold them to was attached to that dark fucking coin. It was like a promissory note to sell his daughters to the highest bidder.
You see movies like Hostel. Do places like that really exist?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do the things that go on in places like that exist?
Absolutely.
Shit. It's funny because...
There are 3 women I know right now in my life. They've been in my life for 6 years. I've been caring for them for 3 years. I got them off of Epstein Island. I cannot say where they are in the world. What I can say is when they got into the boat, they were roughed.
Mm. Wow.
Want to know how they ended up on Epstein Island?
Please.
They auditioned to be models for music videos.
Oh, casting couch.
When they got to Miami, they had to show and turn over their ID, and they collected their passports, and then they drugged them. And then the next thing you know, they were in a storage container getting fucked by a bunch of weird strangers on camera who were bidding for all of the terrible things that were happening to them live online.
Wow.
After they made it through that, that's when they were sent to Rick Ross's music videos, shoots, as groupies and extras to make sure that they could walk around in society without looking like victims. And then after that, that's when they were shipped off to Epstein Island to be broken in and to be readied for Dubai and Moscow. When they got into the boat and I looked at them, they didn't have to tell me shit. And neither one of them, none of them, they didn't speak for weeks. But when you spend time with strangers and they finally feel safe enough to go to sleep and then they start talking in their sleep and you hear the shit that they yell.
You know, it's crazy because as you sit here and we talk about hostile and
These 3 girls that I'm telling you about were in videos that are being played online today. And they appeared in those videos after they had already been sodomized, systematically beaten, starved. But they were smiling in those videos, though.